Hey everyone, Christine here from This Bit of Life, and I'm really kind of excited to talk to you about this crazy topic of keeping your sanity. I need this talk myself right now. I have not had much sleep in the past few nights. My little one is getting ready to learn how to walk. I can tell because he's not sleeping, and that's what babies do, is they hit milestones and they decide not to sleep while they're trying to hit those milestones. So I need this talk so much. I'm gonna be like pepping myself up with this talk. So I hope that I have some stuff that's helping any of you who need to keep your homeschool sanity as well. Because I have 4 kids. The oldest is 12 and 8. Those are my ones who I'm actually homeschooling. And then I've got a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. So I've got kids all over the place. And it can be a little crazy and it can cause stress on me because, of course, juggling different ages and homeschooling. And of course, I've got this side gig, and I know many of you have businesses or jobs or whatever it is on top of homeschooling and being a mom and a wife and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about keeping our sanity. I know if you guys saw my picture, my cup of coffee, because, you know, we have to have our little things to help keep our sanity, and coffee is my little sanity saver if I just need to take my little break and have my cup of coffee. So I treated myself today to some Starbucks while I was out running errands. So let's talk about it. The first thing that helps me save my sanity inside of our homeschool is doing homeschooling together as much as we possibly can. So my kids are obviously all over the place in age, but it's still super, super possible to homeschool them together for tons of different subjects. We can do this with literature. We can do this with history. We can do this with science. We do our Bible together every single day. It's completely doable to do wide ranges of ages and still be able to homeschool many, many things together. This is a big reason why I created Rabbit Trails in the first place, was I wanted a way to make it simple for families to be able to homeschool a majority of their kids together. Now, obviously, this is meant for elementary ages, but my middle schooler is right in there with us for quite a few of the lessons. He does all of the science with us. And he does a good majority of the language arts with us as well, and then has his own chapter books to read and to go more into writing and all of that. But he's able to still review and get all of those good bits that can come through picture books. Because even middle schoolers, high schoolers, adults can learn stuff through picture books when they're good quality picture books. It makes all of the difference. So when we're looking at stuff that has all of this deep character development and plot and all of those wonderful things that can happen in books, they're going to learn. They're going to get so much out of it no matter what their age is. So we really do. We strive to teach as much as we can together. It saves me time, which then saves me sanity. Because if we're able to read a book for history together, then that means we can read that for 10, 15 minutes. I can give them short assignments to go off of it or have them go do something else after that and give my attention to the little ones then for a little bit. So having those short lessons makes it easier for me to say, okay, we're doing this now, and then we have to move on because your sister or your brother needs some attention at this very moment. Another thing I do is I do outsource some stuff. I am not afraid to say, yes, someone else is teaching my children this subject. My 8-year-old goes to science every single week. That's why I was in the car for my picture. If you guys saw my picture holding my coffee, I was in the car picking him up from science class. He loves science. He cannot get enough of science. He wants to work in science even though he's 8 years old. He's got his whole life planned out. And he wants to work in science one day, specifically with reptiles. He's been planning this since he was like 3. It's the cutest thing ever. He's got this whole serpentarium. So if you guys are looking for learning about reptiles and amphibians, my son's your guy. He's gonna hook you guys up with the reptile and amphibian curriculum. Don't you worry. He's gonna make sure everyone is set in that. But he can't get enough of it. So on top of the science we're doing in our home, he's going to science classes once a week. And it is a way for him to obviously go out and have fun, right? Because we definitely want to still have our kids have these amazing opportunities. And it's a way for him to get out in the community. It's this really cool environmental place here in our town that just gives back in this way, and it has ridiculously affordable classes that I'm able to send him once a week to go do the science class. So if you have, I know that I'm just thinking of the stuff in my town specifically, that there's sign language lessons. Of course, you can do instruments. If you guys have a local co-op, that you guys can participate in a co-op. So you can do several different subjects then through a co-op. Or if you don't have anything, that might be your calling then to step up and say, hey, I'm going to organize this co-op, or try to find someone who specializes in whatever field, or just simply contact a curriculum vendor and say, hey, does your company offer, co-op rates or something like that? Because I know, like, for my curriculum, since it's digital, you can't just buy one copy and have it be used for like 20 kids, right? And so a lot of companies have co-op rates, so that if you're getting materials or if you're buying it digitally, to make sure that it's, usually at a discount because you're buying in bulk. And you can just do something as simple as that. I know I've had friends that have used a number of different curriculum in the past at their co-op. So it's not something that they had to make up. They just said, hey, we're doing this science curriculum, and that's what we're doing in our co-op this year. And so it's just the kids working together as opposed to just working at home. So if you don't have anything in your area and you're wanting to kind of outsource in that way, or have them do something outside of the home in that way, that's a super easy way to do it. You could easily do that with any of my Rabbit Trails curriculum. So just contact me and say, hey, can I have a co-op rate? Absolutely. Let me know how many kiddos and I'll send you guys a discount for that. Because it's so easy and so simple to put a lot of this into a group setting, to give them kind of the opportunity. And if there's a parent who says, yes, I want to lead this up, some of them might be okay with drop off, depending on, different insurance policies of wherever you decide to meet up and all of that. So I love having the opportunity to drop him off and run my errands with one less child. And that kind of takes something off of my plate. So of course, if you're doing your own co-op, you may not be getting it off of your plate, but even moving it to that new location and having other parent involvement and all of that just makes it so much different. It's so much more freeing than just, the typical at-home schedule that you have. Online lessons are another big one for me. I outsource math. I have taught my kids math through workbooks, and we've tried, guys, at least 6 different curriculum. I know we've got great math vendors here. I need to get in contact with you guys, but I outsource that. I have them do an online math because it is one less thing on my plate, so that we have more time to have those family-centered lessons. And then I can start working with kids with if they need help with anything, or to kind of, give them their assignments for their own specialized stuff after we do our family time. And so that is one way that it's been a sanity saver for me, especially in the season that I'm in. Just because I do have a toddler and I do have a baby, that my hands are full. And so having, being able to outsource a couple of these things, whether it's online or whether it is through a community lesson or whatever it is, that's been a way for me to have a sanity saver, because we're only human. We can only do so much. And I'm not super mom by any way, shape, or form. And so it's been nice to just be able to say, it's okay for me to do this in this season. Because juggling can be tricky, right? We can't do everything. We can't have this beautiful homeschool that you see on Instagram all of the time. Of course, we're going to have those beautiful lessons sometimes. We're going to have those beautiful moments, of course, sometimes. But it can be a struggle to juggle everything. But the thing is, though, is that it would probably be a struggle even if you're not homeschooling. So if you're in a season where it's been weeks, maybe even months, where you're like, oh my goodness, we are a hot mess over here. We can't seem to get our act together. You probably would be the same hot mess and probably have the same kind of fiasco going on, even if you weren't homeschooling your kids, because sometimes we just have those seasons. I remember there was this one year, it was an entire school year where I was just like, that was an awful school year. Like, We just didn't have it together the whole year. But the thing is, they still learned. We still got some stuff done. And at the end of the year, I did still have some of my sanity left because I was able to just recognize, hey, we're having a rough year. Between moving and my husband's in the military, he was gone a lot. And so I was able to recognize these struggles that we had and just to say, it's okay. Like, learning still happened. And so much of it was life learning. And so learning through those real life opportunities is a really, really big deal. And a lot of times when we have those come up, I mean, last year for all of us, right? Huge learning opportunity for all of us, and how we decided to deal with what was going on. That's a big deal for us as adults. It's a really big deal for our kids because we've never been through anything like that. They certainly have not been. And so a lot of it seemed chaotic and a lot of it seemed crazy, but it made some really amazing learning moments. And so it's okay to recognize that even if it's not in a book and it's not in a curriculum, that learning is still happening and that learning counts. And that can save yourself a lot of strife because, you start to worry we didn't do as much as I was hoping we would do, or we didn't get XYZ done, where all of this not book learning still happened. And so it's okay to step back and recognize, hey, my kids had a lot of learning that happened that may not look the same as everyone else's, but a lot of learning did happen in that season. So with juggling a baby, we do take a lot of breaks. So that's something that I've had to learn to implement because usually I would like to try to get as much done as we can all at one time so we can move on and do something else in the afternoon, whether it's going on a play date or going to a museum or going to the beach or whatever it is. And so I've had to kind of let that go in my season. And so it's good to recognize what season you're in and to say, okay, in my case, I have a baby. We have to take lots and lots of breaks during these lessons because he needs a diaper change or he needs fed or he's just in a bad mood or my 3-year-old needs us because she obviously wants attention as well. And so it's okay to say, hey, we need to play blocks for 10-15 minutes and then we're going to move on to science. So switch things up however you need for your family and take that step back to be able to recognize this is what we need in this moment. And it looks different than it did last year, maybe even looks different than it did last month. But to, take that time to recognize what you need in the season that you're in. So maybe you do have bigger kids and you're saying all of this family time isn't working anymore because they need more independence. And so how can you change things up in that instance? So you can still read these chapter books together, but then how can you give them these other assignments to go off and learn this independence? Or maybe they need more hands-on in a certain area. And so you can say, okay, we need to switch what we're doing and get more hands-on in this certain area. So recognize those things in those seasons and be okay with them switching, even if it's mid-school year. Because a lot of times when our kids are hitting some new development or whatever it is in your family dynamics, that sometimes you just need to say, what we started with is not working. And that doesn't mean you have to switch curriculum. It just means you can say how we're implementing this isn't working. We need to switch it so that it is fitting our family lifestyle better. Something else we've had to switch is we need an actual homeschool room now. We've gone back and forth on having a homeschool room or not having a homeschool room. And in this season, we need a homeschool room because my little guy is crawling all over the place now. So a lot of times my kids would spread stuff out on the floor and they would have books on the floor and they would do their notebooking or whatever it is all over the place on the floor. They can't do that anymore because the baby's gonna start getting their papers and trying to eat it and getting into everything and ripping up books. So we've had to have that homeschool room again to put everything back on a table and to get everything up off of the floor again. And so it doesn't mean that when we're doing read alouds that we're all sitting around the table. We still do a lot of like couch schooling, I call it, and all that kind of thing. But when it comes to the projects and it comes to them looking into those books and it comes to them doing notebooking or doing their math or whatever, they do have to get up onto a table now. And so that's something we've had to adjust. And so I've had to, to have that repeated over and over is you need to put that up on the table. Don't forget, because he's coming to make sure that they're not like, oh no, my book, right? So it's just been an adjustment and something to say, this is something we need in our season, where in other seasons, they're happier being on the floor, spreading stuff out on the floor, or going into different rooms of the house. So just, be able to go and say, hey, this is the change that we need in our family at this moment. The last thing I want to talk about was something that is brand new for me, that I haven't really been doing, but has made a really big difference for my own sanity. And this really has nothing to do with homeschooling at all, but just something that was on my heart to do. And oh my goodness, guys, I've seen such a difference, because all throughout the week, I'm busy, right? I'm homeschooling my kids. We're running to karate. We're running to science class. We're running errands. I'm working. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And so the weekend would come, and normally I would work a lot on the weekends because my husband is home. So he's able to take the baby. I'm able to get some focused work time, and I pretty much don't turn off. I just keep going 7 days a week, and I was getting really, really burnt out. So I was able to say, you know what? I need to start recognizing the Sabbath. And so I decided to take the traditional Sabbath of Saturday. And on Saturday to put work away, put all school away, and just focus on the Lord and focus on my family. And I've only done this for a couple weeks now, and it has made such a difference, guys. Oh my goodness. To be able just to truly just turn off and to focus on those things that are really the most important have made an incredible difference, because we do so much during the week. We give so much of ourselves that we need to take the time to fill our cup in that way. So I've always been like, when it comes to self-care, that I don't need to go and be getting manicures or taking bubble baths or anything that's like what the world views as self-care, which isn't bad if you do those things, but that's just not something that I've found helpful in the past. And so I've always just been like, that self-care stuff doesn't work for me. Taking time to step back can sometimes be all you need for self-care to keep your sanity. And so taking those Saturdays off and taking the time to reflect on my time with the Lord and reflect on the time with my family, and to truly just turn off. No school, no work, no nothing. Guys, I was so concerned about doing this because I'm like, if I can't work on the weekends, when am I going to work? When am I going to get these lessons done? When am I going to do all of the things that needs to get done in my business? And my time has been multiplied throughout the week by doing this. And so I really want to encourage you guys to consider doing this in your own lives, to find ways to take the time, whether it's Saturday or whether it is Sunday or whether it's a day during the week, whatever works with your schedule, to say, I am turning off this day. I am not doing any school. I am not doing any work. I am not doing any of that stuff. And I'm focusing on those things that is most important to me. So it has just been a really, really big blessing for me. And it's been such a sanity saver, especially in the season that I'm in with the baby and the big kids and everything all over the place. It's been an incredible blessing. So I hope that if you guys are able to do that as well, that it is a huge blessing to you, because it's just been really, really incredible to see what the Lord has done through doing this, and the ways that He's made my time multiply during the week. And so I really do go back into the week feeling so refreshed and so ready to tackle all of that stuff again, instead of just continuing going and just running out of steam. So those are my tips for how to keep your homeschool sanity, especially when you have little ones and older ones and kids just all over the place and all of the things that you have to do. If you guys have any tips, I would love I do have a post that has all of this minus the Sabbath stuff, because that is so new in my life. So I'm going to put that in the comments as well, so you guys can go back and read through all of that without having to read through or to go through all the video again. So I thank you guys for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous weekend this weekend and that you're able to take some time for yourselves. Have a good one.